If you want to be a successful freelancer on Upwork or off of Upwork, you're going to need to become an expert at cultivating the right kind of mindset. Most freelancers out there just do not have a rock solid mindset, and that actually comes through in their results, in their earnings, and the quality of the clients that they end up working with day after day. So, in this podcast, Jessica and I are going to show you how to cultivate the right productive mindset so that you can succeed for the long run, not just for a short period of time. Now, it certainly might look easy for me to stand here as a six-figure freelancer and say, just cultivate the right mindset. But I certainly know the struggles of starting out freelancing, having the scarcity mindset, the imposter syndrome that comes with not having a whole lot of experience. So, Jessica, tell us a little bit about how it is to start out as a freelancer and battle those demons that you have when you're starting out.
So when I started out freelancing, I just quit my 9 to 5 job and I had like 1 to 2 clients under my belt, but I was trying to get more clients. And it was really, really hard at the time because it's like you're just trying to build up your portfolio. You're just trying to show and prove to clients that you can do an amazing job. So I had major, major imposter syndrome. And what helped me at the time was to just work on improving my skill sets. So I took that anxiety, I took that stress, that imposter syndrome, and I was like, I'm just going to become better. And slowly, each and every day, I'm going to try to learn something new. I'm going to try to improve. And that gave me a lot of peace of mind because I wasn't just sitting around and worrying, oh my God, when is the next client going to come? I have this like scarcity mentality. I was like, no, I'm going to take action and I'm going to get that out there and start to make moves and start to improve my skill sets.
Yeah, so with imposter syndrome, it's really a matter of internally, you don't believe in yourself. So you have to go out there and you have to force yourself to believe in yourself. And the best way to do that is just to get repetitions. If you're not working for clients and you're not proving your work to clients, then you need to go out there and create work for yourself. And you need to exercise your skills. You need to get out there and you need to create some test projects. And then you can actually start to see your work out. You can see finished products that you're creating. And those finished products are going to slowly prove to your subconscious, I'm legit. I can do this. And I actually have the skills to go out there and I have the skills that are worthy of being paid for.
One thing I want to point out is that you're going to feel imposter syndrome at every new level of growth in your business. So it's like when you're first starting out freelancing, you're going to feel that. When you're building your team, you're going to feel that. Each and every like revenue level too, it's just going to feel unfamiliar and you're going to be out of your comfort zone, which is completely okay. I think the main key here is to figure out how to get back on track with that mindset and to believe in yourself, whether it's looking at testimonials or like looking at past work to like remind yourself, hey, like I can do this and I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, you should not be waiting around to prove things to yourself with client work. So you can prove things to yourself before clients come in and pay you for things. So just go out there, create a test project, exercise your skills, and then compare yourself to other freelancers. And that will help you prove to yourself that you have the skills needed for whatever level of competition you're at.
And I think you can really like prove to yourself, like, I can do this. And I think that's why it's so important to test out new skills, learn new things, always be experimenting and testing because then it's like showing yourself, whoa, like I'll figure this out. Like I can get to the next level.
So what were some of the other things that you were feeling as a new freelancer or a freelancer that hasn't become super successful yet when it comes to your mindset?
When I first went freelance, I had such a hunger and such a drive to make it work. Like, my worst fear at the time was to tell my friends and family, oh, I had to go back to my 9 to 5. I couldn't figure it out. So I was so driven. I was so hungry to figure it out and to make it work. And so I just would plow through these obstacles, the imposter syndrome, because I was like, I have to make this work and I have to have some sort of level of success because I didn't really want to disappoint my friends or family.
So you kind of used your just sheer determination to kind of ignore all of the things that were there in the back of your mind. You were so determined to succeed that you didn't really need to worry about all of the demons in the back of your mind.
Yeah, I was so action oriented. I'm still very action oriented where I just kind of was like, I turned off my brain. I was like, I'm just going to take massive action. I am just going to throw spaghetti at the wall and figure out what works. And I'm going to do that for long enough that something is going to stick and I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, that is certainly one way to eliminate all of the doubts and negative mindset that you're going to have as a new freelancer. I know for me, I'm not as action oriented as you are. I'm more in my mind. I'm more cerebral, which can be have a whole host of problems. So for me, when I was starting out, it was less about self doubt in my skills, and it was more about the scarcity mindset that was coming in. It was more about if I reach out to someone and it's not perfect, I don't wanna take the chance of potentially losing them as a potential client later down the road, so I'm not gonna reach out at all until I have all my ducks in a row, until my website is absolutely perfect. So for me, it was about a matter of perfectionism that was causing some serious issues and some serious lack of action that if you don't have enough action, you're not gonna have enough results. So you can kind of see how some people are more action oriented to overpower the negative thoughts in their mind, and others are more planning oriented to try to eliminate all of those thoughts. And there are certain ways to overcome both.
So it sounded like you were pretty paralyzed by perfection. Now, do you still have that mindset even 6 years later?
You know I do. Okay, I'm still a perfectionist in certain ways. I'm not as bad as I used to be, but there is still. I mean, perfectionism is hard to get rid of, and it does lead to a lack of action versus someone that isn't a perfectionist and is more action oriented. It's just going to take massive action, and that massive action is probably going to cause some damage because it's not going to be as targeted or planned out. So there will be some negatives to that, but it's probably going to get more results because there's just more activity. So it's a matter of finding a balance between being so action oriented that you're just shotgunning everything and being overly perfectionist so that you're only taking sniper shots at two or three people.
I think the ideal is to find a balance between the two. Like to this day, I'm still very action oriented and very biased towards action, but I've really had to learn, and it's still a work in progress on like thinking critically, big picture, and like spending that time to really be tactical before I take massive action. But I think finding a balance between the two is the right way to do it.
Yeah, I think the interplay between perfectionism and being action oriented, overly action oriented, is an interesting one. I think everyone is probably going to fall into one or two buckets. I think most people will probably fall into the perfectionism bucket versus the action oriented bucket because I think most people are in their head more than they are I'm gonna take action and ignore my thoughts. I think being able to ignore your thoughts is actually a very interesting skill to have, but you will probably fall into one of those two buckets, and you just need to understand, okay, I'm more of a perfectionist, so I need to bias myself towards action because my natural inclination is to take less action and to think more. Or if you are action oriented, you need to say, okay, I'm biased towards taking too much action. I need to think bigger picture so that my action is more effective when I take it.
And the whole reason I kind of cultivated this like action first mindset is I was big into listening and reading Tony Robbins and all of these like really successful entrepreneurs. And they all talked about the fact that they were very biased towards action. And so I just like took that to heart and I was like, okay, like I want to be successful like these guys to some degree. So I'm just going to take massive action.
Okay, so let's take it back to Upwork. A lot of people are joining Upwork. They're looking into having a side gig, into implementing their skills on the side, maybe during their 9 to 5, or they want to quit their 9 to 5. But the first thing that you want to do as a freelancer is to get work, is to win work, right? To start earning money outside of your 9 to 5. When you're starting out on Upwork, a lot of freelancers have the scarcity mindset. And that scarcity mindset says, there's a ton of competition. It's going to be impossible for you to win work because your skill set is not going to be good enough to compete with all of these other freelancers. And so you need to offer the lowest price and you need to apply to the most amount of jobs. And so I see a lot of freelancers fall into that trap. And what happens is they apply to a million job posts. Someone actually responds because they're probably offering a really low rate. And then they get locked into a contract with a nightmare client, with a low end client who doesn't respect them or their skills, and they get burned. Have you ever seen that happen?
Oh, 100%. That was me, especially when I was first starting on Upwork. And with the massive action, I would just like mass respond and submit proposals, hoping that I would get like 1 to 2 responses back. Now, it worked, but I spent so much extra time, energy, and effort just mass pitching that I think I honestly would have had more success like customizing the proposals a little bit and just tailoring them to exactly what the client wants because being on Upwork for quite a while now, I see that and from being on the client side, like you're if someone has experience that's really closely aligned to what you're looking for, it's a guaranteed yes. So like all to make that point of like you need to customize your proposal to the job posting because you're going to have higher success.
And what do you think about the situations where a freelancer's desperation for new work and maybe a low end client or a low value client's ability to see, oh, this person's desperate. I can take advantage of them because they needed their first couple reviews, right? What do you think about that where you actually get trapped by a client that can take advantage of you because once you sign that contract, once you hit agree on the Upwork contract that comes through, uh, all of the leverage is now in the client's side of things. So you are basically beholden to them at that point. And if you get stuck with a bad, rude, low end client that doesn't respect you, you're going to be taken for a ride, and it is not going to be fun.
Yeah, and I totally get it. Like as a freelancer when you're first starting out, like you need to land clients. Like maybe you're desperate for money or you just want to get some projects under your belt. You have to avoid these situations because it can really screw you over in the end. Like having just one bad review on your Upwork profile will determine the success that you have on Upwork in the future. So, being extremely careful and selective with the clients that you do work with. Now, it's okay to work with clients on like a lower rate or whatever, like an entry rate to get in to show a client that you know what you're doing, you can get them results. But working with clients that are just trying to take advantage of you is just, it's not a good situation.
Yeah, you really need to vet these people. It needs to be a mutually beneficial agreement, and you need to make sure there's no red flags. And one of the biggest red flags is when a client is just kind of standoffish and rude or not very warm over their communication. And that's going to kind of tell you that they probably don't respect you and they're probably just looking for the lowest rate that they can find. And if you're unfortunate enough to be in a situation where they're just asking for revision and revision and revision and they're not happy with you, you could be stuck with a negative review. And then beyond that, you're going to end up having the mindset that Upwork is a race to the bottom. You're going to come out of that situation with a jaded mindset. You're going to be jaded on Upwork, you're going to be jaded on freelancing, and that's going to almost be more dangerous to your freelancing success than that negative review would be. You're going to just you're going to come out of it thinking all clients on there are assholes, and it's simply not true. You were just too desperate to vet them properly. You were too desperate to wait for the perfect job, and you got yourself into that mess, but you're going to blame it on Upwork and you're going to blame it on the client.
I promise you, there are amazing clients on Upwork. Some of my best, high value, most amazing clients have actually came through Upwork. So it's totally possible you can find amazing clients. And similar to Tyler's point, it's like you want to find a client that respects you as the expert and really trusts your opinion and your perspective. And they're not going to be nitpicking on every little thing that you do. They know what they want and they want to hire you to execute on that vision.
Yeah, there are skill set valued clients and then there are budget value clients. And do not ever work with budget value clients because they see you as a commodity. And if you allow them to see you as a commodity, that's how they're going to treat you. They're going to treat you like a gas station attendant at a gas station, or they're going to treat you like you're completely replaceable. And if you allow yourself to debase yourself like that and to get into situations where that person has all the leverage over you, you're going to come out of it a negatively minded person, more scarcity minded. So keep in mind there are tons of high value clients. It's just there's a lot more low value clients that you need to sift through. And so never let yourself be so desperate for work that you're willing to just hit accept on the first contract that comes through. So obviously having a scarcity mindset, a desperate mindset as a freelancer is going to be a major problem for you. And it's probably going to be something that you're going to have to overcome starting out. So what do you think are some of the best ways for new freelancers to overcome these nagging feelings of imposter syndrome with the skill set and then also scarcity with the competition?
So for me, whenever I'm feeling just an ounce of imposter syndrome, I review client testimonials of very, very happy clients. That just lifts my spirits and that just gets me back in the right mindset. So on my LinkedIn profile, I have like 35 like amazing client testimonials. And so, whenever I'm feeling this, I'll just go through one by one and just read them and it always makes me feel a little bit better. The other thing that I'll do is listen to like motivational YouTube videos, which might sound a little cheesy, but it actually helps and it kind of gets me out of that imposter syndrome on like, okay, like I can do this, I can figure it out. How about you? What do you do?
Yeah, I think that goes back to another topic that we're going to talk about at another time, which is the entire topic of testimonials and being crazy about collecting those. But yeah, I like to go back and think about all of the happy clients that I've had. This mindset of I'm only going to work with clients that respect me and actually want to work with me and don't treat me like I'm a commodity or just any other videographer. I've been so lucky to have just years, 6 years, 7 years at this point of happy clients and clients that are stoked with the final product that I've delivered. And so just going back and reviewing your wins as a freelancer, even if you're just starting out, like reviewing your wins, creating your website or anything that people have told you that gives you encouragement as a freelancer is something you should cherish and just evaluating how far you've come when you started because I'm sure everyone who wants to get into freelancing, you started out with no skills and here you are with skills that you're ready to put into the marketplace and sell for a fee. So that's a win in itself, just the fact that you have the skills that you've cultivated.
And also, when it comes to imposter syndrome, it's really important to know that this is completely normal. Like every single freelancer, every single business owner experiences this. So that's why, if you can, finding other freelancers or other business owners who are in the exact same boat, that can really help like normalize this feeling and make you feel less alone and less isolated in how you're feeling about this. So, finding like networking groups or like friends who are also doing this, but like surrounding yourself with people who are going through it can just make the world's difference in your success.
Yeah, and as a freelancer, a lot of the times it can feel like you're an island, especially when it comes to your family. You're probably not going to be able to relate to your family very well as a freelancer. Your friends probably aren't going to be freelancers unless you are really lucky. So you need to make a serious effort to go out there and network with other freelancers that are in your same boat because everyone out there is feeling these same things as you. And I can't tell you how amazing it is to have a tight knit group of friends that I can communicate. We can get on a group chat and we can just talk about some of the struggles that we're going through, and we can ask for help when it comes to things like taxes or a bad client or an unfortunate situation that we can all relate to. So get yourself some friends that are also freelancers. It's going to make a huge difference.
So, one of the things that I do is I actually meet with one of my friends every Friday. We call it the CEO day. And so we only work on just like CEO related tasks. But the point of it is, I am meeting with her once a week and we co work together. And so we're able to share struggles that we're having and then hearing her perspective that's different than what I interpreted. And just having support can make such a big difference. And then making an effort to finding these people. So whether it's on networking groups or Facebook groups or like social media, but like actively trying to find people who are in the same position that you're in can really, really make or break your freelance career.
I will say having a savings is a huge one for my mental health and my mindset. So the smaller your savings, the harder it's going to be to have an abundance mindset. It really is that simple a lot of the time. And the more runway that you give yourself when it comes to that emergency fund, the more strong my abundance mindset gets. And that's actually been, now that I think about it, that's probably one of the biggest factors in my ability to avoid the wrong clients or to turn down work that I don't think will be the best fit is, hey, I don't need this project. I know that more projects are going to come at some point down the road. So I'm not desperate to take on anything that isn't a good fit. And your emergency fund is going to be a big part of your ability to turn down work that you don't think is going to be a good fit for you. So, as a freelancer, we talked about it in some earlier episodes. Get that emergency fund built up and ideally get that built before you leave your full time job.
So while you were sharing that, that's something that I thought of too is like having a nice cushy savings fund has really helped me not take on clients that I knew like were not the best fit, and it helped me hold out for those really great clients to work with them. So if you are still in a 9 to 5, I would highly, highly recommend get a nice cushy savings fund, at least like 3 to 6 months of expenses. So do that while you are at a 9 to 5, and then once you go freelance, you'll have that cushion. Something I would highly recommend just for your mental health and your mental sanity, and then also for the success of the clients that you'll be working with.
Yeah, I mean, you can have the most insane self belief in the world, but nothing is going to beat being able to say, I don't need your money. And that is going to give you the most amount of leverage when it comes to the freelancing marketplace. Not needing work is what's going to help you get the best work. The less that you need work, the greater the chances of you ending up with the best projects because you're not going to be bogged down with a bunch of low value clients wasting all your time. You're going to be able to be more selective in who you work with. And that's going to mean that you can take more time, apply to the right jobs. And instead of getting all of your calendar filled with low end work, you're able to keep your calendar a little more open, a little more flexible for the right projects that come along.
And I'll say that having one crazy high maintenance client really puts a huge damper on your energy and your output as a freelancer. So you might be thinking, oh, it's fine. I'll just take on this higher maintenance, lower project just to get some extra cash flow. But really, it's not worth it because you're going to be so much more drained and you're not going to be able to show up as much as if you didn't have that high maintenance client. So I know obviously easier said than done, but something to consider.
Yeah, and I'll just reiterate, a lot of freelancers out there might be saying, well, it's so easy for you guys to preach this when you have reached a high level of freelancing, you have clients coming to you, so it's easy to cultivate that abundance mindset. We still feel all of these things come creeping in on a regular basis.
Oh, 100%. Like, I feel this, like I mentioned before, like, you feel it at every stage of growth. So, right now, I'm expanding my team. I feel it. So, it's a muscle that you have to work. And I don't think I will ever stop working on this because it's like going to the gym. You can't just go to the gym and then be done for good. Like, you have to go each and every day. So, it's something that I have to continually work on, and I would almost say, like, it gets harder. Like, you have to be more intentional the higher you go because, the stakes are higher, there's more stress, there's more anxiety depending on what you do. So it's that much more important to just work on that muscle day in and day out.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So hopefully that gives you guys a little insight into some of the traps, some of the mindsets that you're going to have going into freelancing, how to overcome them, and then how to cultivate it over the long run. It's not going to be something that you're going to just be able to solve. It's going to be a lifelong thing that you're going to have to work on forever, unfortunately, but that's just how it goes. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this podcast. Let us know what you think in the comments, and we'll see you in the next one.